2023 and 2024 was the most memorable year that I ever lived through, and they're both pretty underrated for movies, in my opinion. But which of the movies are superior between both of these years? Well, it's time to find out. Well, just to be clear, I'm only going to be talking about the movies that I have seen in both of these years. So, unfortunately, the Barbie movie, Wicked, the Joker 2, Oppenheimer, and even the piece of crap live-action Disney movies will not be mentioned in the comparison video. If there were, then I would be trashing these movies, so you may consider yourself to be lucky. Okay, the movies from 2023 that I believe it came out in February is Megan, Creed 2, and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Okay, I did not watch these movies in theaters. I was busy with my Taekwondo life back then, so I watched these movies on streaming service. Okay, when I watched Megan, well, I did not like it at all. I thought the story is not that good, and the horror elements, well, despite being a PG-13 movie, it barely scared me. But when the second movie was coming out this year, well, I have rewatched the first movie, and for some reason, my opinion on the first one has changed. After watching the second movie, I pretty much became a fan of the Megan franchise. Like, I don't know why, but overall, I thought the first Megan was just okay. Okay, as for Ant-Man and the Wasp, well, I thought this movie was underrated. Like, this is the best Ant-Man movie, in my opinion. Like, Kang the Conqueror was a threat, and the story was enjoyable. Yo, I do not care what the negative review says. This movie is actually awesome. If you think otherwise, then you're out of your mind. Okay, what about Creed 3? Well, it is pretty much my favorite movie of February 2023. Like, I thought it was a great movie with some personal, deep backstory, motivation stuff, good boxing action. Like, I was satisfied. So, how the movies from 2024 in February compete with 2023 February movies? Well, the movie that I have seen in February is Madam Web, and that is the only movie that I saw in February. And I gotta say, this movie was pretty trash. Well, I liked it at first when I first watched it, and then I kind of changed my mind. And 3 days later, after watching this movie, and now that I am thinking about it, I sort of knew this movie is going to be bad. When I watched the trailers, well, I wasn't that interested, so I knew this movie is going to be bad, and I was right. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys saw that coming. The movie years with the superior film in February is undoubtedly 2023. Okay, the movie that I have saw in March is Shazam! Theory of the Gods, but I did not watch it in theaters, unfortunately, because again, I was very busy back then. Well, Shazam! Theory of the Gods was an entertaining movie. I thought it was funny, and it has a lot of action. I just don't like the ending of the movie where Wonder Woman just showed up for no reason, but it was a good movie overall. Well, the movies that I have seen in March of 2024 is Kung Fu Panda 4, Godzilla x Kong, and Abigail. Well, Abigail was pretty much my first horror movie that I liked, because me personally, I am not a big fan of horror movies. They freak me out as a kid. Well, although horror movies still freak me out right now, but another reason why I don't like horror movies, because they don't really have a good story. It's always about the horror villain killing the teenage kids whatever. But the movie Abigail had proven to me that horror movie can have one good story. I thought the characters were interesting, and they give them enough backstory. And the main horror villain Abigail, well, spoiler alert, she is actually an anti-hero at the end of the film, and that's what I like about it. Like turning your horror villain into a good guy. Like the Predator in the Friday the 13th movies had did that before with the crossovers, and Megan 2.0 has did that before. Even the Terminator movies do that before. Well, even though it is not an horror movie. Well, the final battle fight scene in Abigail was pretty bloody but cool. Like this movie was right up there with the anti-heroes related movies. Well, if they plan to make a sequel to Abigail where she is still an anti-hero, then I will be down to watch it in theaters. Okay, then we have the Casa Grande movie. Yeah, I forgot to mention, I also have seen this movie in March. Well, the Casa Grande gotta be the first cartoon spin-off that has a movie. And for a Loud House spin-off, it was a great movie. There's some character growth and Ronnie-Ann's mom and everything, and the action is awesome. Okay, I know the Loud House is supposed to be a grounded show, but the Loud House was never been grounded since the first season, and I did explain that at the end of the comparison video I did. So yeah, I am impressed with the Casa Grande movie. And we have Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Yeah, I also forgot to mention I have seen this movie. Well, although this movie was nothing really special like I expected to be, the whole story was just all over the place. Yeah, it has way too many flaws. Like, I am not into the fire god because he's just some generic random character. The relationship between Fifi and Melanie just felt rushed. Yeah, this movie was ridiculous at best, and that is because Sony Pictures has to interfere and take over this movie. Although the action was entertaining at their greatness, like I am impressed with the CGI. Well, except that the Ghostbusters ghost capture effects does not have an impact. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is watchable, but it is not memorable. So for me, Frozen Empire is okay. Then we have Kung Fu Panda 4. Well, in my personal opinion, Kung Fu Panda 4 was a fun movie. Well, it is not a perfect one, because I do wish they gave the previous Fu Panda villain some voice acting, well, besides Taiwan, but I don't think it is a bad movie, because Poe did have some character development of accepting that he is not going to be a dragon warrior anymore, and I thought Sin was an interesting character. Well, I don't mind the Furious 5 not being in it, and I don't agree about the Chameleon being a terrible villain. Okay, well, I gotta admit, she does not have a backstory, just like the other previous villains, but she did pull up a heck of a fight against Poe. Alright, then we have Godzilla x Kong, and this movie absolutely destroyed cinema by miles. Yeah, I personally enjoyed it more than the first movie, and it was a good time seeing these two iconic monsters fight each other and then work together, and I thought the action was insane. Well, I don't like it as much as the Casa Grande movie and Kung Fu Panda 4, but it was not something that I regret watching. So, which movies in March is superior? Well, just because Shazam! Fury of the Gods is the only movie that I have seen in March of 2023, I'm just going to give this round to 2024. Okay, now let's talk about the movies that has came out in either April or May of both of these years. Okay, first we have my personal favorite film of 2023, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and the other movie that I have seen is Dungeons & Dragons, Fast and Furious 10, well, aka Fast X, The Teenage Kraken, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Okay, let's start off with my least favorite out of all of them, which is Fast X. Well, Fast and Furious 10 was basically basically just a counterpart of Avengers Infinity War. Well, except it is not a great version of that. They just made this movie long and slow for a part 1 movie. Decker Shaw was just completely wasted. Like, he only showed up in one scene, and that's it. And the characters are even useless this time around. Well, the main villain, Dante, well, I thought he was fine. Like, he doesn't hold that much of a threat to me. He was just a weak villain that cannot even fight Dom in a street fight. And that is a real shame how disappointing this movie is. Well, to come to think about it, I don't think this movie should exist, because Fast and Furious 7 could have been the last movie of the Fast and Furious franchise, but no, instead, they just keep on making more of these just to make money. Well, I recommend this movie at times, but for rewatch value, I kind of don't. Okay, then we have the Teenage Kraken. Well, I just made a comparison video with this movie and the Casa Grande film. Well, if you have seen it, then you already guessed my opinion on this film. Well, I enjoyed this movie more than Fast X, but the whole story is just not impactful, and the plot twisting was predictable too. So we can all agree that the Casa Grande is a much better version of the Teenage Kraken. As for Dungeons and Dragons, well, I liked this one. It was pretty fun, pretty hilarious. Like, I pretty much enjoyed it with no question asked. Well, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, well, I thought this movie was awesome. I even enjoyed the Rocket Raccoon origin story they have here. But although this movie was also dragged on too long, and there's a time where this movie just got too jokey, and I don't remember laughing at a lot of funny scenes, but it was better than Fast X at least. Well, as for the Super Mario Bros. Movie, it is way better than all of these four. They just got the whole Mario games right. They got the Mario's character's personality right. Yeah, they did everything right. Yeah, everything about the Super Mario Bros. Movie was a good time, and it felt like a event. The animation is so color vibrant and beautiful. Like, Illumination deserves some credit for that. Well, after watching this movie with a smile on my face, well, I feel like a kid again. Like, the more that I rewatch this movie, it reminded me of my childhood days when I used to play Mario games. So for that, I started playing the recent Mario games on my new Nintendo Switch game console. Okay, well, according to review, some critics say that it is okay at best, but for me, I love the Super Mario Bros. Movie so much. Okay, well, I gotta admit, the story was pretty generic, but they pretty much make up for a generic plot by doing justice to the game's source material. Okay, the movie that I have seen in April and May of 2024 is If, Garfield, Planet of the Apes, Falls Guys, and the Thundermans movie. Okay, well, I thought Thundermans Return is a fun movie. I liked it a lot. Well, I don't love it because there's something that I don't like about this movie. The plot twist was revealed pretty quickly in 20 minutes of the movie, and they pretty much wasted the citizens that just gotten superpowers by the Thundermans. Like, seriously, this movie could have been much better if you have these new superpower people to help out the Thunderman family in the climax battle. I mean, imagine if the Shazam family gets superpowers and they didn't even do anything with them. I mean, that would be so boring. Okay, then we have the Garfield movie, and I thought it was so much better than the pointless live-action movies that we got in the 2000s, and I just made a comparison video of that. Although the story is generic, and that is my only criticism towards this film, but this Garfield movie was great. Okay, then we have the movie If. Okay, watching the beginning half of the movie, well, I thought it was going good, but I don't see it is great yet because there are some plot holes going on. But seeing at the end of the movie, okay, now I see why it's great, and I just forget all about the plot holes. But I don't think I plan on watching it again anytime soon. Okay, Planets of the Apes. Well, I'm not a huge fan of this franchise, but I pretty much enjoyed the movie. I mean, the whole world is beautiful. It has pretty good storytelling, and that's pretty much it. Okay, then we have my personal favorite out of all of them, Fall Guys. Okay, it's about this actor who is trying to fight to save his life, and for a story standpoint, it really works. Well, the main character, love interest, is a movie director. Well, since I'm going to be a movie director myself in the future, I found her to be pretty relatable. So overall, this movie really surprised me. Well, it's not my favorite film of 2024, but it was pretty good. So yeah, I thought the movies in April and May of 2024 was outstandingly good. But I don't like these movies as much I like the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Well, if it weren't for the Super Mario Bros. Movie, then I would easily give this round to 2024 movies. So the years with the superior movies in April and May is 2023. Hey guys, right now I am at the party. Well, I am not really sure if I am drunk or not, because I just had my first drink, but I'm just going to risk it just for this video. Okay, so, the first movie that I have seen, no, Jesus Christ, no, let me start over. The movie that I have seen in June and July in 2023 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the Flash movie, The Wrath of Becky, Gran Turismo, and Transformers Rise of the Beast. Okay, the Across the Spider-Verse is easily one of the best films that I ever seen in 2023. Well, I do not like the slow pacingness, but it has great storytelling and characters. Well, the Flash movies suck. Okay, when I first watched this movie, I liked it at first. I thought it was great, but after watching it the second time, my opinion has quickly changed. Like, the CGI is just terrible, and the characters were just used in the most disrespectful way that I ever seen. Like, I don't know why Batman decided to sacrifice himself by fighting a big Kryptonian. Like, that was pretty out of character, because the Batman that I know would know better than to fight this thing. And Supergirl in this movie has no personality. And the heck, I have seen a better version of Supergirl in the CW show. Oh, and about the scene where they just show all of the DC characters from the old movies, well, I thought that was pretty dumb, because all they do is just stand there while the multiverse is collapsing, and they didn't even help the Flash defeat his dark self. So for that, I thought it was just a waste of a scene. Then we have Transformers Rise of the Beast. Well, it was more entertaining than Fast X, I can tell you that, but it is not a great movie, because Rise of the Beast just reminded me so much of the second movie. Like, Bumblebee just died and then come back in the final battle, but unlike Fast X, they had a somewhat of a excuse to waste these characters. So what I see, Transformers Rise of the Beast is just alright. Okay, then we have The Wrath of Becky, a movie sequel to Becky. Well, I thought it was just fine. Like, I am not a big fan of this movie, because I do not like seeing dogs get hurt in this film, and I really don't like that. Okay, lastly, we got Gran Turismo. Well, I never played a Gran Turismo game in my life, so watching the movie was the first time I discovered it, and I thought it was a great movie. Well, I don't love it all that much, because the pacing is just really slow, and I almost fall asleep, but nonetheless, I really enjoy it. Now, I better stop recording before I Alright, the movie that I have seen in June and July of 2024 is Inside Out 2, The Big City Greens movie, Space Cadet, Bad Boys, Ride or Die, Despicable Me 4, The Loud House movie, No Time to Spy, and the one and only Deadpool and Wolverine. Okay, I watched the new Bad Boys movie during Father's Day, and I wasn't a big fan of that movie. Well, I haven't seen the old previous movies, so that kind of explains why I don't enjoy it all that much. I will talk more about this movie once I make a remaster for a comparison video with Hobbs and Shaw in the Teenage Bounty Hunters. Okay, Inside Out 2. Well, I remembered watching this movie with my camp friends while I was in camp last year, and I gotta say, Inside Out 2 was a good Disney movie since Toy Story 4. Okay, although I wish that they just added the boy that has a crush on Riley into the movie instead of focusing on a generic hockey subplot story. But Inside Out 2 was better than I expected. Okay, as for Big City Greens, well, it was good, but it is one of these forgettable movies that I have watched. Like, I am not kidding. Like, I even forgot the green slime alien was in it. So yeah, this movie is not memorable. It was just good, period. But I do like the Loud House movie, No Time to Spy, better. Yeah, this movie rules. It freaking rules. Okay, it must be me just being a biased Loud House fan, but I just love this freaking movie so much because of many reasons. Well, like I said, I know the Loud House is supposed to be a grounded show, but again, this show was never been grounded since the first season. Yeah, go check out my previous videos to know what I'm talking about. Well, anyway, regardless, the action in the fight scenes are so fun, and the Loud Sisters has more screen time this time around, and for a kids movie, the story was kind of deep. I mean, Myrtle highlight of the movie is her running away from the past, and it is understandable, and the villain's motivation is also understandable, and the family core was impactful. Well, in fact, I was working on another comparison video between No Time to Spy and my own Loud House movie called The Loud House in the Foster Squad. Okay, No Time to Spy might not be everyone's favorite film for 2024, but you gotta admit, No Time to Spy was definitely right up there with the movie sequels that is better than the original. Okay, although my only criticism that I had with No Time to Spy is the pacing issue in the beginning. They just do an opening sequence right after 10 minutes of the movie, and they could have done that right after the flashback scene with Myrtle. But I will just yoke past that, because they did make up for that, right? Okay, Despicable Me 4. Okay, well, I have seen this movie twice in theaters. When I first watched it, well, I missed the beginning half of the film because I had a friend who lived far away, so that's the reason why I was late to the movie. So I have to watch it again just to make a comparison video when I had my old channel. Well, watching this movie the second time, well, my impression just got better. But a part of me doesn't feel that impressed because it kind of reminded me of the time that I watched Despicable Me 3 back in 2017, where I get disappointed. Because the whole story of Despicable Me 4, it was just all over the place. Like, they went from different subplot to other subplot to subplot after subplot over and over again until they waste too much time. So for that, I would prefer if they make this movie 2 hours to resolve the subplot, because they really jeopardize the balance. Well, I am impressed with the villains and the comedy, but I don't find myself to be rewatching these movies. Yeah, Despicable Me 4 was a good movie, but I don't think it is as good as Kung Fu Panda 4, because when I watched Kung Fu Panda 4, it felt like I have stuck with this franchise for a long time, so it felt like a conclusion movie. As for Despicable Me 4, it doesn't feel like the story is completed. Instead, it just felt like a mess to clean up. Despicable Me 4 was pretty fun, but I feel like I'm going to forget about this movie. And 1 year later, now we get to my favorite R-rated movie, Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, that movie was a bloody masterpiece. It rocks. Deadpool Deadpool and Wolverine has a good enough character growth, the action was unique and fun, and it is a much better movie than The Flash. Okay, the multiverse plot and the main villains are not great, but unlike the Flash movie, they kind of S.A.U'd it where it makes sense. So yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine is one hell of a movie, and I had a really great time. Okay, even though 2023 has the Cross the Spider-Verse in it, I have to give it to 2024 movies. Because when I watched Deadpool and Wolverine in theaters with my dad, it reminded me so much of Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man No Way Home. The people in my theater just went crazy whenever something unexpected happened. The movies that has come out in June and July in 2023 are just alright, so the years with the superior summer box office release is 2024. Okay, now let's talk about the August movies. I only saw 3 films in August of 2023, and that is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, Blue Beetle, and Spy Kids Armageddon. Well, the movies I have seen in 2024 is Ryan's World the Movie, Harold and the Purple Crayon, The Woody Woodpecker Summer Camp, Unlucky Sisters, Boulderlands, and Transformers 1. Okay, when I first saw the trailers for Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, well, I was positive that this movie is going to be trash. Like, I did not like what they did with the turtles. Well, I can understand that is their actual teenager voice. Like, I am aware that not everybody have puberty, but at the same time, the voice acting of the turtles are just distracting, and they sounded like little kids to me. So yeah, when I went to the movie theater to watch it with my friend, my expectation was very low. Like, I was ready to watch a bad movie, but after watching Mutant Mayhem, well, I actually thought it was pretty good, but I don't think it is a great movie. I still don't like the voice acting, and I gotta say, the action was really entertaining. In fact, this movie has the most action out of all of the Ninja Turtles movie I have seen, but at times, the action does not have an impact. And Master Splinter kissing this disgusting thing at the end of the movie was just weird, and I don't know why they have the turtles take off their masks at the end of the movie, because I just got nightmares from that as a kid. Okay, overall, Mutant Mayhem was just an okay movie at best. Well, Blue Beetle, on the other hand, well, I loved this movie when I first watched it. The action are great, it has emotional family stuff, and it is my favorite Zack Snyder DC movie of all times. Okay, then lastly, we got Spy Kids Armageddon. It is also a very entertaining movie. Well, I don't think it is as good as the original movies, but I pretty much had a great time with this movie. Yeah, it was fun. Okay, then we have the movie Stray. Yeah. I completely forgot that I have seen this movie because I don't like it at all. Okay, I know it is a funny comedy movie. Well, in fact, I have laughed at a few jokes, which it is good, but when you come to think about the story and the characters, it's just not well executed. Well, I don't mind R-rated movies all that much, but what I do mind is the inappropriate scenes that they just put in them. Like, this movie has so much nudity, and it just shows a dog biting a human thing off. Like, it is just so over a top inappropriate that I just lost my appetite eating chicken fingers and fries. So yeah, when the movie ended, well, I don't find myself to be watching it again. Well, in fact, it was by far the worst film that I ever seen in 2023. And I even forgot to include this movie before I started making the video, and that's how forgettable this movie is to me. Okay, as for August 2024, I watched Woody Woodpecker Summer Camp, and it was fine, I guess. The whole thing is just mediocre. Well, the human characters was the only good thing that comes out of this movie, because they appear to have a arc of their own. So, as for Ryan's World, the movie, okay, well, if you don't know who Ryan's World is, he is a young YouTuber that does toys reviews, whatever, and he is the first YouTuber that has a movie, and it was played in theaters. Like, seriously, I don't know how cinema let this happen. Well, anyway, when I was given a chance to watch this movie, well, when I watched it, I thought it was horrible, like I expected. Like, this movie is just so bad that I don't want to even talk about it. Okay, then we have Borderlands. Okay, I have heard some reviews that Borderlands had failed, and it was a bad movie. Well, me personally, I enjoyed Borderlands. Well, it is not a great video game movie, but I don't think it is the worst movie of 2024 like everyone else think it is. I had fun with that action and all, and plus, this movie does not take place in the canon universe, so there's a excuse why it is not great, you know, I guess. Okay, Unlucky Sister. If you never heard of this movie, it's about the two long-lost sisters just found each other for the first time, and they both have to take care of the mansion. And I gotta say, I enjoyed my time watching this movie. I mean, it's about siblings bond through and through, and I am a sucker when it comes to family-type movies. So for what it's worth, I highly recommend this movie. Okay, Harold in the Purple Crayon. Okay, before I watched this movie, I never heard of Harold in the Purple Crayon in my life, but this movie did do a good job of explaining who he is and what he's all about and how his Purple Crayon powers works, and now I know exactly who he is after watching a movie. Although, I think this movie was good, but not great, because the pacing overall was just fast, and we don't even have time to give a crap about any of these characters, so Harold and the Purple Crayon are just straight up weak. Okay, lastly, we got Transformers 1. Well, just like I said about Mutant Mayhem, I was positive that Transformers 1 is going to be horrible when I watched the trailers, but after watching the movie, I end up liking this movie. Well, in fact, I thought it was better than Mutant Mayhem. Well, I also watched this movie in 4DX with my friend, and we had a blast. And then I was starting to love this movie when I watched it the third time. So, surprisingly, Transformers 1 has become my personal favorite movie of 2024. I think I'm just going to give this round to August 2024. Okay, well, August of 2024 has a few bad movies, but if it weren't for Transformers 1, then I would easily give it to 2023. So 2024 has a slightly superior movie in August. Okay, the movie that I saw in October of 2023 is the really hunted Loud House and the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Okay, my expectation was pretty low on the live-action Loud House Halloween movie, because back in 2021, when I watched the first live-action Loud House Christmas movie, I just felt so disrespected. Yeah, I hated this movie so much that I even talked trash about it when I had my old channel, and I think Nickelodeon might have seen my trash talking video, because they decided to make a live-action show out of the Loud House, and now they made the live-action Halloween movie, which I was not anticipated about. So yeah, when I watched the movie, well, I was once again surprised of how entertaining this movie is. Like, they just got the Loud sibling personality right this time around, and I found myself to be laughing at one of these funny scenes. Like, this movie pretty much reminded me of why I love the Loud House, so I end up having a smile in my face as soon the movie was over. Okay, well, I am not saying it is a great movie, because it was definitely not, but it was a Halloween movie that I kind of recommend for your kids to watch. Then we have Five Nights at Freddy's. Well, I enjoyed this movie as well, but I wish this movie could have been so much more. Like, I was disappointed of how less scary this movie is. Okay, I know it is a PG-13 movie, but you can still try hard with the horror elements. I mean, the first Megan did at least tried with the horror element. Five Nights at Freddy's, well, it seems like it was not trying at all. Like, the jump scare does not have an impact. In fact, it is just so unimpactful that I didn't even jump in any of the jump scared. Well, except that the balloon boy part kind of got me a little, but that's besides the point. Well, if you don't see the problem with that, then go check out the movie called Coraline. I mean, Coraline is a horror movie, and this horror movie is rated PG, and for a PG movie, the horror element works. Like, seriously, I was still freaking out thinking about this movie, and that's how impactful the horror elements was in Coraline. So yeah, overall, Five Nights at Freddy's is just another okay movie I just watched. Okay, the movie that I have seen in October of 2024 is Beetlejuice and Venom: The Last Dance. Well, Beetlejuice was a good movie, but I prefer the original, as it is more entertaining. As for Venom: The Last Dance, well, to have you know, I am one of these people that enjoyed the Venom movies. Like, I love the first movie when it comes out, but as for the second movie, well, I am not much of a fan of it. Well, actually, I just hated the second one, and I will explain why I hate it for a video for another time. So my expectation for the third film was not that high, so I went to go see Venom: The Last Dance for my friend's birthday, and I thought The Last Dance was surprisingly good, but not great. I noticed that Sony Pictures is still compromising this film, and I just felt so bothered that they didn't even back off. I mean, freaking Sony Pictures movies, man. I mean, they even have Venom dance and sing for no reason. Yeah, come on now. Yeah, but despite its flaws, it was entertaining for what I just saw, but it is nowhere near as good as Avengers Endgame. Yeah, I think I'm just going to give it to October of 2023, because I had more of a good time with these movies 2 years ago. I only seen one film in both of these years of November. The only film that I have seen in November of 2023 is The Marvels. Yeah, The Marvel is yet another movie that is not great. The pacing was just way too fast. Like, this is probably the fastest pacing movie that I ever watched in my life. It is an hour and 40 minutes, but it felt like an hour and 10 minutes to me. And I thought the villains was just pretty weak. She doesn't hold that much of a threat and doesn't have that much villain motivation. Like, The Marvel was just a mess of mediocrity. But I don't hate this movie, just like everyone else do. There are some moments from the movie that I do enjoyed. I like how Kamala interacted with her hero, Captain Marvel, and Monica, and Kamala pretty much steals the show in this movie. Like, Miss Marvel was probably my favorite character of the whole film. Okay, I may not like the musical number part where Captain Marvel sing, and I may not be impressed with the action, well, except for the beginning action. The Marvels overall was pretty passable. But although I only seen this movie once in theaters with my friend, and I don't really want to watch it the second time, but if The Marvels and Madam Web are the two last movie on Earth in the future, then I would rather watch The Marvels again over Madam Web, because Madam Web was just that bad of a movie. Alright, the only movie that I have seen in November of 2024 is the really Loud House Thanksgiving special. Hey, I know what you guys are thinking. Oh, Isaiah, you got it all wrong. It is not a movie. It is a 22-minute special episode. Yeah, I know it was just a show, but since the live-action Loud House already have 2 holiday special, mind that I will just consider the Thanksgiving special as the third film. Well, anyway, the live-action Loud House Thanksgiving movie was disappointing. Well, except I'm not really disappointed. Okay, I might be impressed with the Halloween movie, but the live-action Loud House is still terrible. So I am not surprised that this movie is bad. And on top of that, the Thanksgiving special was the show finale of the live-action Loud House, which I am glad, because honestly, I was getting sick of the live-action Loud House. Although I only like one moment from the movie where Lola and Lana relationship are on the line, but overall it just sucked. The Marvels is not that good of a movie, but at least I had a decent time for the wrong reasons. So 2023 movie in November has the far superior movie. Alright, this is the final round. The movie that I have seen in December, back in 2023, is Family Switch and Aquaman The Last Kingdom. Okay, I thought Family Switch is so much better than the movie Stray. I thought the comedy was funnier and smart. Okay, although it does have the same cliche story as the Freaky Friday movie, but this is the kind of Freaky Friday movie that I liked. It has a family aspect through and through, and all of these main character has grown at the end. Okay, as for Aquaman The Lost Kingdom, that was the last movie that I saw in 2023, and it is also the last Zack Snyder DCU movie, and for the last movie, it was worth watching. Okay, well, I don't like a few stuff from Aquaman The Lost Kingdom, but it is an awesome movie overall. Okay, the movie that I have seen in December of 2024 is Red Run, Kraven the Hunter, and Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Okay, Red Run was a riot. Well, the marketing was right about this film being the best Christmas movie, but it wasn't really that special. Overall, Red Run is just an entertaining movie where you just sit down and watch without using your brain to think about the logic. And Kraven the Hunter, well, me personally, I really like this movie. Yeah, I had heard some people opinion on Kraven the Hunter. They said that it is one of the worst movies for this year, which I don't agree, because Kraven the Hunter is really not that bad. Well, for me, it is not bad at all, so I don't see there's something wrong with it. They made this movie rated R, unlike Phantom. The action is actually cool, by the way. The story is well-paced when you think about Kraven and his brother relationship. Yeah, Kraven the Hunter is an awesome movie, without a questions asked. Okay, then finally, we have Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Well, that was the last film that I saw in 2024, and after watching Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I pretty much liked it, but I don't like it as much as the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Well, I'm not just saying that because I am not a big fan of Sonic. I'm just saying that because there's a few stuff that I don't like. Like, I wish that they have Metal Sonic show up and fight Sonic and Shadow during a climax instead of leaving him for a post-credit scene. I think that would be much better, and I could have been even more impressed that way, and the emotional scenes needed to be so much longer and flesh out. Well, they did the Sonic characters part right, but what they didn't got right is Gerald Robotnik Robotnik, well, in the game, Gerald Robotnik was actually serious, but the movie version, he just had the same personality as Eggman, and that kind of did the character a bit wrong, and that is not good. Okay, overall, I had a good time with Sonic the Hedgehog 3, but I don't plan on watching it again. So, which of these years has the superior movies in December? Well, I pretty much think they both win here. Okay, overall, both of the films from both of these years was a memorable time to watch in either in theaters or at home. But the difference is that 2024 movies are full on great, and the film from 2023 was just, well, I wouldn't say it is excellent or trash. To me, it was just decent. Although, I heard that people been saying that 2024 has went by so fast, but for me, 2024 doesn't feel that fast. Well, in fact, I think this year was more fast-paced, and we will talk about it when I do the year's rankings at the end of 2025. But anyway, let's just get to the rating scores. The movies from 2023 gets a high 7 out of 10, and the movie from 2024 gets an outstanding 9 out of 10. Okay, even though 2023 has the Super Mario Bros. Movie and Across the Spider-Verse, I think 2024 has the far superior movies. And although I am enjoying the movies for this year so far, so I might even consider doing a tier list ranking of the 2025 movies at the end of the year too. Anyway, that is it for the video. If I get any of the release date of the movie coming out wrong, then you can just let me know in the comments down below. My name is Isaiah Belfort, and I will see you guys next time.